Thank you. Good morning to all the students. Myself Amruta Dhadge from Khernagar Municipal English Medium School. We are back here with our interesting subject geometry and our very interesting subject, very interesting lesson, which is circle. So let's start today for our today's session with our chapter circle. We are going to learn the topic touching circles. Touching circles are explained very well in your textbooks. With the help of these two activities, so let's start with the activity. Take three collinear points x, y, z. Collinear means the 3 points which lie on the same line. You can see these are the collinear points x, y, z. As shown in the figure 3.22, draw a circle with center x and radius xy. Draw another circle with center z and radius yz. Note that both the circles intersect each other at the single point y. Draw a line through point y and perpendicular to segment xz. Note that this line is a common tangent to the two circles. Okay, so we will go through this activity. We can see the diagram. We have taken three collinear points. The points which lie on the same line are called as collinear points. Then we have drawn a circle by keeping our steel end on the point x, okay, and the radius as xy. Okay, extend your pencil till xy, and we have drawn our first circle. We have repeated this activity by just changing the center of the circle. Now the center of the circle is Z, and we have drawn another circle. Okay, the condition is that both the circles should intersect each other at a single point. You can see the single point, it is Y. Okay, then we have to draw a perpendicular line, okay, to this segment XZ, which passes through this point XY and which is common to both the circles. As we know that a line which touches a circle in a single point is called as tangent. So this line becomes the tangent to the circle with radius x as well as to the circle with radius yz or zy. Okay, so note that this line is common to the tangent of the two circles. Now these are two touching circles which are touching each other at a single point y. So this was our first activity explaining a type of a circle for touching circles. Okay, so these are the two circles which are touching each other at a single point. Okay, so these are two external circles. They are not inside each other, they are separated, they have separate radius. Okay, nothing is common and they are externally touching each other. Now we will see the second activity. Take points y, x, z. They have just changed the sequence of the point. It is y, x, z for this second activity. Draw a circle with center z and radius zy. We have drawn a circle with radius zy. Okay, the outermost circle we have drawn first. Also draw a circle with center x and radius xy. Okay, now this is our another center of the circle which has radius xy. Now these are internally touching circles. Note that both the circles intersect each other at the point y. Okay, you can see that this is remaining the same, that we are touching the circles which are internally to each other at just a single point y. Draw a line perpendicular segment yz through point y that is common tangent for the circles. Again, this is a common tangent to both the circles. Okay, as the point y lies on the circle with center x, as well as it lies on the circle Z, and the line is passing through the point Y. This point becomes tangent. This line becomes tangent to both the circles with center X and center Z. Okay, so you can see these two types of touching circles. Now, why these two types are important? How many questions, what questions we are going to solve based on this? We are going to find radius of the circle of these circles. Okay, the distance between the two radius. This question comes again. The another question is to find this xz distance. Okay, we are going to see the theorem of touching circles, which will explain us how to find distances of these radius. First, understand how these circles are drawn and what is the difference between these two circles. These are just two externally touching circles. These are the circles, okay, which are internally touching. These circles are internally touching circles. Okay. So these are the two activities which help us to understand what types of touching circles are there. So I hope you people must have understood, and try to draw it once so that you will get your concepts clear. Theorem of touching circles. What the statement of this theorem states? Theorem states that if two circles touch each other, their point of contact lies on the line joining their centers. Okay, so if two circles are touching each other, yes, these two circles are touching each other, as well as these two circles are touching each other. Okay, so what happened? Their point of contact lies on the line. This is the point of contact C. It lies on the line joining the centers. Okay, so we will see. First of all, what is given? C is the point of contact of the two circles with centers A and B. Point C lies on the line AB. What we have to prove? We have to prove that this point C lies on the line AB, okay, which we will join like this. Okay, we have to show that the point C lies on the line AB. A very simple proof with just few steps. Let's try to understand it. Let L be a common tangent passing through C. Yes, it is a common tangent passing through C of the two touching circles. Line L is perpendicular to line AC. Line L is perpendicular to line BC. You can see that line L is perpendicular to this line AB. As we have seen that the radius drawn, okay, is perpendicular to the tangent. So it is perpendicular to the line AB. Line L is perpendicular to line AC and line L is perpendicular to line BC. Segment AC is perpendicular to line L and segment BC is perpendicular to line L. Okay, so the two radius, they are perpendicular to the line L. Okay, this is AC from this side. This is also perpendicular to line L, and this is BC from this side. This is also perpendicular to line L. Okay, if you join these 2 points, okay, like this, you will see that they are perpendicular to line L for both the circles. So segment AC perpendicular to line L, segment BC is perpendicular to line L. Through C, only one line perpendicular to the line L can be drawn, and therefore points C, A, B are collinear. Okay, we can just draw a single line. You will see that this is a single line. Okay, so only one line can be perpendicular to line L. You people must have drawn perpendicular bisectors. So when you draw a perpendicular bisector for a given segment, you can draw only one perpendicular bisector. Okay, we can't draw two perpendicular bisectors for a given segment. So this also states that for line L, AB is only a perpendicular line. Okay, if it is perpendicular line, C lies on AB. Okay, so what we can say that point C, A, B are collinear. Again, they lie on the same line. Okay, so point C, A, B are collinear, which states that point C lies on the line AB. Okay, which states that point C lies on the line AB, as these 3 points are collinear. Just go through this theorem again. Go through each and every statement. Try to locate the segment, the line, with whatever is given in the proof, so that you will understand the proof. Now, what all things to remember? These all things are important so that you people will be able to solve all the problems. So first is the point of contact of the touching circles lies on the line through their centers. Yes, the point of contact of the touching circles lies on the line joining their centers. Okay, so the point of contact, this is the point of contact of the touching circle of the touching circles. What happens to this point of contact of the touching circles lies on the line joining their centers. So this point of contact lies on the line joining radius. Okay, so you can see this is the radius of one circle, this is the radius of another circle, and the point of contact always lies on the line of the radius of both the circles. Okay, if the circles touch each other externally, distance between their centers is equal to the sum of their radius. Okay, if now you can see that these two circles are touching externally. Okay, so the distance between the centers, center A and B, what will be the distance between this? Okay, so how we will find out this distance? Okay, length of AB is equals to length of AC plus length of CB. Okay, how, on what basis I have written this? Because A dash, C dash, B. Okay, these points are collinear. So how I can find the whole center, whole distance of AB? I will just add both the radius. Okay, this point is important for solving examples. The distance between the centers of the circle touching internally is equal to the difference of their radii. Okay, difference means we have to subtract. Now these are the two circles which are touching internally. Okay, so how I will find the distance between AB? Okay, so what I will do, I'll subtract the largest radius. Okay, I'll take largest radius and I'll subtract the smaller one from it. So how I will write it? Length of AC minus length of BC. Okay, and this will give me length of AB. The distance between the two centers of a circle, okay, which are touching internally, is drawn by subtracting their radius, by taking the difference of the radius. Difference means subtraction, sum means addition. Okay, by remembering these points, you will be able to solve all 2 marks questions where we find out the distance between the centers of the circle. And in our next session, we will take all those examples for solving these sums. Okay, so let's move on to the arc of circle. Okay, this is also a completely different topic, which is arc of a circle. We have seen arcs since from 8th standard, we are studying arcs. A segment divides a circle in 2 parts. Any one of these 2 parts are the common points of the circle, and the secant constitutes an arc of the circle. Okay, so these are the common points A and B. First of all, what this is a secant divides a circle. Okay, so this is the secant K which divides the circle into two parts. Okay, it will not be equal parts always. A part can be bigger and the other one can be smaller. Okay, so any one of these two parts, okay, will have, and the common points of the circle and the secant constitute an arc. Okay, so these are the common points. So this is one arc AYB and another arc is AXB. Due to secant K, the points of intersection of the circle and secant are called as endpoints of the arcs. Okay, so these are called as A and B are called as endpoints of the arc. In figure 3.29, due to secant K, we get two arcs of the circle with center C, arc AYB, arc AXB. Okay, so we have seen these two arcs, which is AYB and AXB. Try to locate these two arcs, AXB and AYB. AXB and AYB. If the center of the circle is on one side of the secant, then the arc on the side of the center is called as major arc. Okay, understanding this line is very important. So we will go through it once again. If the center of a circle, okay, C is the center of the circle, is on one side. Yes, it is on one side. Okay, these are two parts divided. The secant divides the circle into two parts. So the center is on one side, okay, of the secant. Then the arc on the side of the center is called major arc. Okay, then this arc, okay, which constitutes the center is called as major arc. Please go through the spelling of major arc. Okay, many people write it wrong. So major arc, which arc we will call as major arc? The arc which constitutes the center of the circle is called as major arc. Okay, now we can go with the opposite word of measure to the remaining part. Okay, and the arc which is on the other side of the center is called minor arc. So if this becomes the major arc, the corresponding arc becomes the minor arc. Okay, understanding this concept is very important. What is the major arc and what is minor arc? Okay, so an arc or a side which consists center of the circle is called as major arc. Okay, once you find out which one is the major arc, the remaining one will be minor arc. In figure 3.29, an arc AYB is the major arc. Okay, you can see this is AYB. Again, by writing three alphabets or 3 points of the circle, we are indicating the name of the arc. So arc AYB is the major arc and arc AXB is the minor arc. There is no confusion, then the name of the minor arc is written using its endpoints only. Okay, so try to write it with the 3 letters or 3 alphabets to indicate your arcs properly in the exam. We will go towards our next concept, which is central angle. When the vertex of an angle is the center of the circle, it is called a central angle. Okay. First, you people should know what is vertex of a circle, vertex of an angle. Okay. You can see this is an angle AOB. The middle alphabet denotes the vertex of the circle. Okay, so it is O. And if it is forming at the center of the circle, okay, so this angle formation in which a vertex is at the center of the circle So it is called as central angle. So this is called AOB is called as central angle because its one vertex lies on the center. So O is the center of the circle and angle AOB is a central angle. Angle AOB is a central angle as O is the vertex of the angle which is at the center of the circle. So angle AOB is called as central angle. Okay. So in this figure 3.30, O is the center of the circle and angle AOB is a central angle. Like secant, a central angle also divides a circle into two arcs. Okay. Here the secant was dividing the circle. Now here an angle, okay, a central angle is dividing the circle into two parts. This is one part. Okay, so this is the one part of the circle and this is another part. You can see the different designs, okay, made, which signifies that these are the two different parts. Like secant, a central angle also divides a circle. So measure of an arc. To compare two arcs, we need to know their measures. Okay, so measure of an arc is defined as follows. Measure of a minor arc is equal to the measure of the corresponding central angle. In figure 3.30, measure of the central angle AOB is theta. So measure of the minor arc APB is also theta. Okay. Now here, how you will find major arc and minor arc? As this angle is formed at the center of the circle, okay, your eyes can specify that this is the largest arc. Okay, this arc covers more area, so this one will be called major arc, whereas this part, the angle, covers less area of this circle, of this circular ring, so it is called as minor arc. Okay, so we have a straightforward formula which states that the measure of the minor arc is equals to, so what will be this measure will be equals to the measure of this angle. Okay, as it is given as this is theta, so it will be theta for this given figure. Measure of the minor arc APB is also theta. Measure of the minor arc APB is also theta. Okay. Again, we will go through these lines as this is very important. We know that measure of angle AOB is theta and measure of minor arc APB is also theta. Okay, so the arc corresponding to the central angle will have the measure same as that of the angle. Will have the measure same as that of the angle. So this is for minor arc. What we will do for major arc? So measure of major arc. Okay. See these words. Measure of major arc equals to 360° minus measure of the corresponding minor arc. What we are doing? We are just subtracting the measure of the minor arc which we got from the whole 360°. Okay. So what this whole angle is 360° for the given circle. If you place your angle measuring instrument over here at 0, you will see that a line measures that from 0 to 180°. Okay. Again, this will be half circle is 180°. The half circle below will be 180°. Both measure will be 360°. So this whole angle measures at 360°. We are just going to subtract the minor arc which we know, and we are going to get the measure of the major arc. Okay. So these are the easiest thing from this circle chapter. So go through it. Measure of the major arc AQB is equals to 360° minus measure of the minor arc APB. So 360° minus theta. measure of a semicircular arc is, that is of the semicircle is 180 degree. Okay, so semicircle is half. Okay, half of the circle. Okay, if this is the circle and if I draw a diameter over it, diameter is the largest chord. A chord passing through the center of the circle is called as the diameter. Okay, now you can see that this chord divides the circle into two parts, and if you take the half part, so its measure will be 180 degree. Okay, you can take half part from this also, this measure will be 180 degree, and half part from this side also can be 180 degree. Now the diameter will change. Okay, it will have, sometime it will be horizontal. Okay, sometime it will be tilted, but you should know that if it is a diameter, it divides the circle into two equal parts. Okay, and it is called as, the one half part is called as semicircle. So what is the measure of that semicircle? The measure of that semicircular arc is always 180 degree. Measure of a complete circle is 360 degree. Okay, if half is 180, 180 plus 180 becomes 360 degree. So the measure of the complete circle is 360 degree. Okay, these are some important small marks gaining points which you people should understand as well as practice very well. Okay, simple things are there which will give you marks. So go through it. Next is congruence of arcs. Now what the word congruence says? Okay, they are congruent means they are same, equal in measures. When two coplanar figures coincide with each other, they are called congruent figures. Okay, coincide when we keep them on each other. Okay, it seems to be the both are one and the same. Okay, if you draw a segment of 5 centimeter, okay, and another line of 5 centimeter, and if you coincide, okay, both are kept one on each other, okay, you will see that both are same. We know that two angles of equal measures are congruent. Yes, we know that two angles of equal measures, if they are having different vertices, but the measures are same. Okay, for example, if we draw an angle, okay, of equal measures, if this is 30 degree and this is another angle which is 30 degree, both are having same measures, but their name is different. Okay, ABC and PQR. So what are these? We know that two angles, these are two angles of equal measures are congruent. So these two angles are congruent. Similarly, are two arcs of the same measure congruent? Okay, if both the arcs are having same measure, are they congruent? Okay, so we are going to find this answer by doing this activity. Draw two circles with center C. Yes, we have drawn two circles with center C. You can see this is our outer circle and this is the inner circle. Okay. As shown in the figure, angle DCE and angle FCG of the same measures and angle ICG of different measure. Okay, we will see angle DCE and FCG. So this is DCE and FCG. Okay. Yes, 70 degree, 70 degree. Both the measures are written. The measure of angle ICJ is different. Okay, so this is I, C and J. Yes, it is different. It is 40 degree. Arms of the angle DCE intersect inner circle at A and B. So arms of angle DCE intersect each other inner circle at point A and B. Do you notice that the measure of the arcs AB and DE are same? The measure of the arcs AB and DE. Okay, so this is the AB arc and this is DE. Are same? Okay. Do they coincide? No, definitely not. Now cut and separate the two sectors DCE and CFG and CIJ. Check whether the arc DE and FG coincide and arc IJ coincide with each other. So did you notice that equality of measures of two arcs is not enough to make the two arcs congruent? Okay, so what additional condition is required to make these two arcs congruent? Okay, so what we learn from this activity, the two arcs are congruent if their measures and radii are equal. Okay, so this is the additional condition, that the radius should also be equal. Just that their two central angles are equal. Okay, you can see that both the arcs, the arc of the outer circle DE and the arc AB, both will be of 70 degree. Will they be congruent? No, they will not be congruent. Why they are not congruent? Because the radius of the inner circle is different than the radius of the outer circle. So what two conditions which we require to make two arcs congruent? First condition, two arcs are congruent if their measures, okay, if their measures are same, that is 70 degree, 70 degree, this is the measure should be same. And the second condition is their radii should be equal. The radius of the two arcs should be equal. Okay. So go through these points. We have learned that whatever is the measure of the central angle, same is the measure of the arc, of the corresponding arc. Okay. So if by going through this equation or this formula, whatever is the measure of the central arc, the same will be the measure of the arc. Okay, so by doing this, you can see that we have drawn two circles, but will the arcs coincide each other? Are they congruent? Can you say that arc AB is congruent to arc DE? You can see it visually that AB is smaller than DE. Then you know that how they will become congruent. Okay, so what is the second condition to make them congruent? You should have the same central angle as well as the same radius. Okay, both the circles should have same radius, then the two arcs will be congruent. This is the important property. Okay, after that we will go to the property of sum of measures of arcs. Okay, so sum itself says addition. What we are going to add? We are going to add all the measures of the arcs. So in figure 3.32, the points A, B, C, D, E are concyclic. Okay, we have gone through this word concyclic. Concyclic, they are on the circumference of the circle. Okay, all these points are on the circumference on the circle. They are present on the ring, on this ring. With these points, many arcs are formed. There is one and only one common point C to the arc ABC and CDE. Okay, this is the arc ABC and this is the arc CDE. Okay, so the common point to in this arc is C. The common point in this arc is C. Go through this figure once again. We have ABCDE concyclic points which are present on the circumference of the circle. Okay, or in simple English, they lie on the ring. Okay, the circular ring. So they are called as concyclic. Then we have taken two arcs, which is ABC and CDE. Okay, try to locate these two arcs ABC. This is ABC and CDE. They have a point common, C. So measure of the arc ACE is the sum of measures of arc ABC and CDE. Okay, so what if I have to find the measure of the arc ACE? Okay, the complete circular part, that is ACE. So what I will do, I will add ABC plus CDE. Okay, so how to write this? Measure of arc ABC plus measure of arc CDE is equal to measure of arc ACE. Okay, just see how we have to write measure. Arc is written by writing ARC and the three vertices, or you can see three capital points which are present on the circle, plus measure of arc. Okay, CDE is equal to the whole measure of the arc ACE. This is a simple point, but arc ABC and arc BCE having many points in common. So all points on arc BC, so measure arc ABE is not equals to the measure arc ABC plus measure arc BCE. Okay. Now, why they have written this statement? Okay, we have just changed the point common. Okay, C we took as common over here for our first statement. Now what we did, we just changed the point. They have many points in common, we took it B. Okay, so what A, B, E. Okay, the middle vertices is changed. A, B, E is not equal to arc ABC. Okay, A, B, C, and then what they have taken B, C, E. Okay, so you can't take the two vertices again. A, B, C is taken, then again we have taken from B, C, E. Okay, so this can't happen because we are repeating the points B, C over here. Okay, here only the common point, which is C, is repeated. Okay, and the end point is repeated. Rest all things are same, but if you change your common point from C to B, and if you change the arcs, that is you take ABC and after that BCE, so you are adding BC 2 times, so this will not be the sum of measure of the whole arc ABE. Okay, so they have strictly written, but arc ABC and arc BC have many points in common, all points on the arc BC. Okay, so BC is common. The whole arc they have taken common, but this can't give you the correct accurate measure of the arc ABE. So never find like this. Try to locate your arcs very well. Okay, try to find the common points very well so that it will be helpful for you people to find the sum of measure of the whole arc. We will go with this small theorem. Theorem states that the chords corresponding to congruent arcs of a circle or congruent circles are congruent. Okay, I'll go through the line once again. The chords corresponding to a congruent arcs of an circle or congruent circles are congruent. Okay, so these are the chords. You can see a chord is a segment joining 2 points of the circle. So AC and DE are the two chords. Okay, corresponding to congruent arcs. Okay, so this is the arc DQE and APC. Okay, so now if these two arcs are congruent, okay, if these two arcs are congruent, these chords are also congruent. So what is given? In a circle with center B and arc APC is congruent to DQE. Okay, so you can see that these are the two arcs which are congruent, APC and DQE. Okay, to prove that chord AC is congruent to chord DE, we have to prove that this segment AC is congruent to segment DE. Okay, so we will go through this proof by just filling the blanks. In triangle ABC and triangle DBE. Okay, so you can see the triangle formulating ABC and DBE. Side AB is congruent to side DB. Yes, side AB is congruent to side DB. Okay, I'll show it with this mark. AB is congruent to side DB. Okay, why? What is the reason? They are radii of same circle. They are radii of same circle. Then side okay, we have to find the next side. Side dash is congruent to side dash. Okay, so I can write here that side BC is congruent to side BE. Again, they are radii of same circle. They are radii of same circle. I'll show it with the double marks. Okay, these are also the radius of same circle. Angle ABC is congruent to angle DBE, measures of congruent arcs. Okay, as this is given that these arcs are congruent, then the central angles will also be congruent. Okay, their central angles will also be congruent. Therefore, triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DBE. Okay, so these two triangles are congruent by which test of congruence? SAS test. Okay, side, angle and side. Okay, we have got two sides and then angle. So therefore the chord AC is congruent to chord DE. Okay, this is corresponding sides of congruent triangles. Chord AC is congruent to chord DE. Therefore, the leftover side which we want to prove, which are the chords of the circle, but the sides of the triangle, they also become congruent by the corresponding sides of congruent triangles. Okay, this was the simplest theorem which helps us to remember this property that if we have arcs congruent, then the corresponding chords will also be congruent. Then the corresponding arc chords will also be congruent. So go through all the points, all the topics which we have covered today. Okay, as practice makes man perfect, you have to practice all these things. Unless and until you practice on your own, you will never feel that the things are easy. So do practice and have a good practice so that you people will understand the difference between all the topics and you will remember it very well in your exams. With this, we have completed our today's geometry session.
Hello, teacher. Wind up the lecture.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, teacher.
Okay.